Okay, so welcome back. Let's do a couple other examples. Okay, now let's do this one here. And now notice, first of all, that we've got a perfect square here and a perfect square here. So this perfect square is a squared, quantity squared, and this perfect square is 10 squared. Okay, so notice that this gives us a squared. Now, what are the two factors of 100 that add up to negative 20? Well, in this case, it's going to be negative 10 and negative 10, right? Because again, they have to be the same sign because we have a plus, and they have to be both negative because this is minus. And so it has to be a negative 10 and a negative 10. So we get or for that, okay? So in this case here, it worked out again. So now, you got to be careful because it is necessary that the first and third term be complete squares. But it's not, in order for it to be a perfect square, to be a perfect square trinomial. So it's sufficient, or excuse me, it's necessary, but it's not sufficient. Meaning, just because you have the first term and the last term are perfect squares does not mean it's going to be a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so let's do this example here. So now, for example, in this case here, this will give us x plus 10 squared. Okay, because 10 plus 10 equals 20. And so we get x plus 10 here, but it's not always the case. Because in this case here, we get this expression here will factor into not a perfect square. Right? So what are two factors of 100 that add up to 25? Well, that's going to be 20 and 5. What are two factors of 100 that add up to 29? That's going to be 4 times 25. What are two factors of 100 that add up to 52? Two times 50. And then, of course, 1 times 100 will add up to 101. So there are lots of different ways that we can have the first and last term be perfect squares, but not get a perfect square trinomial. So there's more to it than this, right? So there's more to it than just having the first and last term be perfect squares. Okay? Notice here, if you take half of this number, you get the factor, the perfect square factor of 100. Okay? Notice if you take half of 20, you get the perfect square factor of 100, which is 10. Okay? None of these, if you take half of it, will give you 10. There's only one, this one. And that's the key. That's the other part, the other half of the key. And so we'll talk about that next.